Welcome back to another episode of Beer, Bacon, and Bros. Tonight we're going to break down whether the SEC should just go ahead and buy Texas and Oklahoma from the Big 12 or let it ride. So, as always, we got Adam, Chris, Keith, no Alex tonight. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for us before we jump into this. It's free to you. It means a lot to us. We're really trying to grow the channel and grow the family. As always, hit that or drop some comments for us too. We love to interact with you and like our videos. So, all right. So the whole parameters around this is the Big 12 got approval from basically the American Athletic Conference. The four teams that are going to basically replace Oklahoma and Texas, BYU, Central Florida, Houston, and Cincinnati, all got their approvals. Obviously, BYU being independent didn't need approval from anybody to come into the Big 12 in 2023.
Immediately,
right? So. This
So
coming football season in 2022, you'll have the normal 10 teams in the Big 12. Come 2023, if they don't let Texas and Oklahoma leave early, which they've said we're not doing,
you would have 14 teams.
You'd have 14 teams in the Big 12. You got to figure out all the scheduling and
So
and maybe it complicates things, maybe it doesn't, right? It's just more revenue for the Big 12 ultimately.
So then, with the added SEC to put us at what, 16 teams total?
It would put the SEC at 16.
So. I guess a different conversation we could talk about too, though. Here, do you think you need 9 games that are conference games? I.e., whether it's not just division East or West of the SEC, but then you get some of those rivalry games you can protect instead of.
Well, that's the big debate now. Do you do
9?
Do you do a 9-3 or do you do an 8-4 still? I mean, because
they've already agreed to 9-3.
Right. So yes, I mean at that point, then you gotta figure out if you're going to do the quadrants like they had talked about, or if they're going to do an East and West or just the top 2 teams. But they're going to have to protect some of these certain rivalries. You're going to have to protect Alabama, Auburn. You're going to have to protect Georgia, Florida.
Well, not only that, I'm thinking East-West, where I was like Alabama, Tennessee. Like protect a lot that rivalry game.
It sounds, so I'm gonna answer this and then we're gonna get back on topic. But it sounds like the SEC is not gonna do the quadrants. They are gonna go to 9 games, and it sounds like they are possibly planning a 3 permanent for a specific team year round, right? So we can talk about who that needs to be in a later video. And then rotate. Essentially, you are doing a quadrant, right? You have 3 permanents, and you're rotating 6, guaranteeing yourself that within a 3 to 4 year spectrum, you will play
the entire conference.
Yeah. So,
but
the Texas and Oklahoma thing. This is where it started to get interesting because the Big 12 has said, "Hey, $45 million apiece for you guys to leave." And Texas and Oklahoma have kind of reapproached and said, "Hey, now that you've gotten approval to bring in these other 4 teams, can we knock that down a little bit for us to get out early?"
Well,
and the Big 12 has said no.
The only reason I brought that up was because the SEC, I think, should go ahead and buy out Texas and Oklahoma.
Yeah, but at what cost?
Are they covering the full 90 or?
At what cost do you pay that? Because
I think
you also got to think about it as like you were saying with scheduling and everything.
But as a conference, I think the SEC can front majority of that bill. But then between the 2 of those programs, I say, or even say we cover 60% of the $90 million to get both of you out of here. Y'all cover the next 30 as an organization, as the athletic department for Texas, being the 2 biggest schools in the Big 12. Y'all's athletic department should come up with the remaining 30% or 40% to cover y'all to come to the SEC.
But it sounds like Oklahoma and Texas don't want to pay anything.
So then at this point, then either you wait it out and ride it out till 2025 or 26, whatever that.
That's 25.
Okay, so ride it out till 2025, or do you get? I think you should get into the bigger conference, the more money market of the SEC.
Yeah.
And make it happen. Because you're going to make, I think, being in the SEC, those programs are going to make more money being here versus the Big 12.
Yeah. I think the difficult thing for Texas is the money share that will come with the SEC. Not that they weren't sharing a little bit of profits here with the Big 12, but Texas has its own brand, right?
It has its own network.
It's Texas, right? And
they have a Longhorn channel that makes them a shit ton of money.
Yeah, and so that's kind of the difficult thing that I think. I'm interested to see how that plays out because for Texas, that's a lot of money, right?
It's owned by ESPN.
Yeah.
ESPN owns the SEC network. So I mean, it's all under the same umbrella.
Yeah.
But then the SEC also profit shares. Yeah. So how much is Texas willing to give up of that profit sharing?
Yeah.
Off the Longhorn network.
What the network looks like, yeah. So, I mean, I'm kind of with you. I think the SEC should go ahead and buy them out. It makes strategic sense while Texas and Oklahoma are so dominant in many things because, you know, Texas baseball and Oklahoma baseball right now both going to the College World Series. Oklahoma and Texas were both the national championship game for softball. Obviously, Oklahoma dominated that, but you know, Texas made the NCAA men's tournament this year. Oklahoma didn't, but Texas women's basketball extremely strong.
But Oklahoma's been there before in the
men's tournament. You know, Blake Griffin obviously going in there. So, and I mean, you think about it, like you know, Texas football while they're 5-7, they'll eventually get back to at least playing ball games. Oklahoma, we'll see what happens with them, but they dominated the Alamo Bowl against Oregon. So. Both these teams, I mean...
Depends on what old Burt Vegetables does going up in there.
Depends on what Burt Vegetables does. But both these teams have shown just great value in postseason success right here in athletics. So, I mean, it makes more strategic sense. It's crazy. We were talking about the other day. If Texas and Oklahoma win the SEC right now, the men's baseball championship, College World Series, 6 of the 8 teams are SEC teams. If Texas and Oklahoma are in the SEC right now. So... I mean, it just for me, it would make crazy. It would kind of be crazy not to go ahead and bring them over. I do think that they could probably negotiate down from that.
It just depends on what Oklahoma and Texas are going to request the SEC to pay. I mean, I think the SEC has a number in their mind of what they were willing to pay, and I don't think they're going to go over it.
I would say
because I'd imagine a lot of the schools have to agree to that too, because it's money coming out of not only. I mean, it's money coming out of their programs, their pockets too.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know,
a roundabout way, but yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I would imagine at some point there's got to be a negotiation in there. So it's really going to depend, I feel, on what the buyout's going to be listed at. Because I know when you and I talked about it the other day, you said $20 million from each. So basically, pay the 40 of the 90 million. The SEC would have to pay 40 of that 90 million.
Yeah. I mean,
but I mean, you know, it really depends on what the negotiations come down to, and then what. And honestly, I think it's going to have a lot to do with what the new SEC commissioner does too. I mean, it's going to come down to him too, or was it? No, it wasn't SEC. It was the NCAA. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's going to depend on what what they ultimately want to negotiate down to, because I don't think the SEC is going to pay all 90. It's going to
I don't think they're going to pay.
It's going to depend on what they're willing to pay and what Oklahoma and Texas are willing to pay.
Yeah. Like I said, if you can do it a 50-50 split and say, hey, SEC, you flaunt.
You put up 45. You put up 45 of the 90. And we'll put up 45.
Or you put up 50% of whatever it is going to be, whatever that final number ends up being to buy us out. We, as the two universities, will flaunt the other 25% from each school to get us.
I think the realistic number is probably $60 million. Like if you're talking about, obviously 2022, 2023, 2024, and would be the final 3 years of them being in the Big 12. Once 2023 comes around and those other 4 teams are coming in, I think there's a realistic chance that missing the last 2 years, you can't really charge $90 million for that unless you really just wanted to. But I think the SEC can come forward.
I think they'll be
put the cash on the table and say, "Hey, here's $50 million. We're gonna front 30 of it. The schools can pay the other 20 combined, and
I don't think you're going to see anything happen until those other schools come in.
I think that's the truth.
It's not going to happen until at least next year at a minimum.
Yeah, but you got to put yourself in position for it to happen next year. You know what
I mean? No, but I mean,
they can't get together in July.
You can't do a baseball lockout again.
Yeah.
No, you have to be in negotiation now. But I don't think you're going to see anything become concrete until next year.
No, of course not.
Until those other teams decide to. Well, I shouldn't say decide.
Not decide. It's already.
But once they're initiated into the conference, I don't think you're going to see anything happen until that point.
Yeah. So. All right. Any other last thoughts?
Cool. That's it.
Hit us in the comments. Let us know what you think the SEC should do. Should they buy out Texas and Oklahoma out of the Big 12? Let it ride till 2025. What's the number that you would pay or want to see paid? And as always, we appreciate you. Like, comment, subscribe.